We are going to do the tutorial for the Lucky Interchangeable Shiplap sign. So the first thing that you're going to need is a Shiplap circle and your background color, which most of you chose white. So just like last month, if you watched the tutorial last month, you're just going to want to start in the middle, keep your brush angled up so that you don't get your sides white. If you want the sides white, then don't worry about that. But if you don't flood your brush, then you're not going to flood the outside. As you can see, it stays mostly dark. Don't worry about the lines for now. I sent you with a toothpick so you can clean those up if you want. As you can see, I kind of go across the edges and then I go back in the same direction so that you can't really see the two different painting directions, I guess. Just keep that brush angled up with little amounts of paint. I said it a million times last month, but it looks so much better if you do 2 or 3 coats of thin paint versus glopping it on there all at once. The hole doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered. So I'm going to finish painting this. I'm going to push pause so this doesn't get really long. I don't know. Yes, you can see. If you like this whitewashed look, so it's not 100% white, then you just want 1 coat. That's going to look great. It makes it look a little bit more rustic and aged. Or you can let it dry and do another coat so that it's pure white. So you just do whatever look you're going for. Another aging hack, I guess you can say, is if you get, right after you paint, so you'll probably want to do like 1 section at a time. If you get a baby wipe or get a paper towel, I was actually going to send a baby wipe with everybody, but if you don't get to your kits pretty quickly, then it would just dry out. So if you just get a damp paper towel, not wet at all, but just damp, then you wipe off right after you paint. It's going to make it look stained versus painted. So I'm going to show you that once I get to the ring. I'm going to do that so that you can see what it looks like. Once you do get done painting all of this white, then just take your toothpick and run it along the lines. I don't know if you can see how well that cleaned that up just by running it across. So I'm going to do 1 more coat and get back on here. Okay, while your shiplap sign is drying, you want to get the outer ring. 1 white wedge and then whatever color you chose for the outer ring. Most of you chose this light brown color. It's like a tan. So get the corner of your wedge, dip it in the paint, and get your paper plate and dab off the excess. And then just using just the edge, you're gonna dab, not wipe. Kind of the same thing if you want to keep those edges clean. This is a really, really subtle color, which I like. I almost did black for this tutorial, but I decided to stick with this more natural color. Okay, while I do this, I'm going to do probably a few coats of this color. if you do super light coats, as you can see, it's almost dry already. This is where if you want the stained look, instead of a fully painted, if you get your wet wipe or your paper towel and then go over it, it's gonna let some of that maple grain show through. And you can repeat this process as many times as you want. So you can have full coverage, or you can get just a little bit lighter coverage. But once you do that, as you can, I don't know if you can even see, some of the grain is showing through, and I have paint all over my hands. But for me, I'm gonna let this dry, and then I want mine solid. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 1 or 2 more coats, and then we'll move on to the next step. This next step is where you can really branch out. So these two are what are going to be interchangeable. So you can paint the lucky green and the background white. I did the background green and the lucky white on my pictured example. And you could even get your green and your white and do like an ombre effect. So like paint the solid green, then mix on your paper plate, mix a little bit of white and go over that, mix a little bit more white and go over, so that it's this really cool ombre effect. Did I just get paint on me? I can't really see. The sun is shining right in my eyeballs. Also, my son is playing Fortnite with his friends. I'm really strict with electronics, so he never gets electronic time, hardly ever. So he is going to be pretty loud. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and stick with what I did for my example. I kind of want to do the ombre, but it's okay. So same thing as a shiplap circle. You're just going to keep your brush angled up. Honestly, you know what? I'm gonna do that technique, but it actually doesn't really matter because it's gonna sit inside the ring, so you're not even going to be able to see it. So I'm really thinking about doing the ombre because I think it might be fun. So I'm going to do 1 thin coat of green, and then I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll move on to the lucky, and so that we can then come back and do another coat of this. Is everybody as messy crafting as I am? Probably not. I think that it really doesn't matter, and then I can just wash my hands after. I'm sure most people are a lot cleaner than I am. As far as the lucky, take your white, that should still be out, unless you did a different color, and the same technique as the ring. Just dab the corner of your other white wedge in, dab off the excess, and then just really lightly go around. So with my wood, I mask it before I cut it with my laser. It's an extra really annoying step to mask it, but if you don't, the laser, obviously how it cuts is it burns the wood, so it will char it really bad. So sometimes, because all wood burns different, the char will still get through. So I try to sand off as much as I can, but on these really delicate pieces, I have to sand every piece by hand. So you might get a piece like I did. I don't know if you can see that, where there's a little bit of char. I try to sand as much as I can off, but on those pieces, you may notice that you need a few extra dabs to completely cover it. So just an FYI. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with it. But if it's like a darker color, it would cover really well. But whereas I'm painting it white, and it may not be enough, my sanding might have been enough to cover it in just a couple coats. But just so that you're aware. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause this video. I'm gonna do more coats on both of these, and then we'll get on for putting it together in the finishing touches. Okay, I ended up deciding to do a really subtle ombre. I don't know if you can tell. So it goes from darker to a little bit lighter. It's super subtle. It's taking a little bit to dry though. I don't know how many people actually watch this. I'm assuming most people just fast forward to like the putting it together part. But if you're interested in learning different techniques, like how would I do an ombre or how would I distress, things like that, if you can let me know, then I'll go into more detail. But I'm assuming most people are just watching for like a really quick breakdown. So I always try to kind of hustle through the project as quick as I can because I don't want to keep gabbing on if nobody cares. So anyways, I think that the ombre will be fun. But while I wait for that to dry, I figured I might as well show you how to put together this, this bow. So bow tying is not my forte. I know there will be projects where I will show you, I will have to learn, and I'll show you how to do a bow. But for this one, I decided to do a simple one. And if you have other ribbon and you know how to tie bows, that would be great. I sent you with glue dots so that you can easily change them out for the season. But I figure the burlap is gonna match pretty much anything. So you're gonna wanna take your two pieces. Oh, the most important part, if you are a messy crafter like me, make sure that you wash your hands before you put everything together, especially if you're touching a white background, because you will get fingerprints on there. So take one piece of the burlap, sorry, my son is so loud, and set it down. I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I sent you with 3 glue dots. So I'm gonna put one, if you can get it to stick on there. I'm gonna put one on my thumb, kind of a little bit off center from the middle, and the other one, same thing. So I have 2 of my glue dots on there. Then I'm gonna take 2 of these greeneries. They're kind of, they come a little bit dusty from the factory, and I just did not have time to wash 100 of these. So you might want to kind of clean them off a little bit. Anyways, I'm gonna put one sticking out that way and another sticking out this way, just to kind of help hold it in place. When you put the twine around it, that's gonna help hold it in place as well, but the glue dots make it a little easier, give it a little bit more oomph. Then you're gonna take the other burlap and lay it right on top. Then kind of just, can you see me? I'm just literally like pinching it together right in the middle. Take your twine and leave a little bit hanging out like this much on the back so that you can have something to tie. And then I'm just going to go around really tight as I can a few times. And then in the back of your bow, tie that in a knot. I mean, you'll just have to go off of my words because I don't know if you can hear or see, I mean. So tie it tight. Okay, then, okay, I had to pause to grab some scissors. So, then you don't set your glue dot right down where you're gonna set your scissors. I should have sent you with more glue dots, just in case you do what I do. I try to foresee, like with the paint, for instance, I send I sent a lot of paint for the project. It looks like a little bit, but there's plenty of paint per project. And I do that because I think with myself, what if I spill? Or in the middle of the project, what if I decide I want to do an ombre or something like that? So I try to foresee that happening, and I didn't with the glue dots. So you only have 3. Okay, so since my thing isn't glued down yet, I can kind of decide where I want to put that. So that is where you take your mangled last glue dot, and I'm going to put that on the back. I honestly don't know if that's going to hold since I mangled it so bad, but we'll see. And I'm just going to press that down. And then I'm going to trim my bow, because as you can see, that's pretty, it's a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and trim my bow. You can kind of arrange your greenery a little bit to stick out however you want. I'll probably trim my front, but leave the back one long. You can do like a cute little decorative end, or however you want. So you cutesy it up however you want. Now that my pieces are mostly dry, I'm going to do the gluing. Remember to open up your super glue over a plate and not over your project. This one just squirted out as soon as I put the cap on it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is the outer ring. Remember, a little bit of super glue goes a long way, but also remember that it dries fairly quickly. So I'm just going to stick with the middle, and I drag the tip of it across so it doesn't glop up. You can kind of hear me dragging it. Then be careful not to touch it. You're going to center it. If you haven't already done your bow and you're saving that for last, you're going to center it more towards the bottom so that you do have space for your bow. And I just hold it above like so. I eyeball it, and then, oops, pressed a blammo. And then hold it down for a few minutes or seconds. It does not take minutes. Okay, if your wood gets a little wonky, because especially if it's getting shipped to you, it's going from my house to outside, sitting in the mail truck, sitting in your mailbox, getting to you. So if the wood gets a little bit wonky, you might either have to hold it down for a little bit longer, or you can always, once it's completely dry, make sure that it's not still wet. You can always set something on top of it to make sure that it stays down. Oh, the fun thing about this outer ring is, let's say like you kind of get sick of the lighter color, or if you did a darker color, you can easily paint the outer ring. Once this is painted, you're gluing your Lucky on top, so it is what it is after that. But you could paint your outer ring if you wanted. Okay, so for the Lucky, I want my ombre to, I think I want the lighter at the top. So same thing, work fast, stay away from the very, very edges, and you don't necessarily need to glue every little thing. So I'm going to, for sure, glue around and not go right over my project. My dog just came to say hi. His name is Charlie, and he's perfect in every way, except for that he has epilepsy. So that's not perfect, but other than that, he's an angel on earth. Okay, whew, that's strong. It's making my eyes water. Then you're going to, if you didn't do like an ombre, it doesn't really matter. Just line it up so that it's as even as possible, and then hold it down for just a few seconds. I was just looking around. I should have had my stand set out so I could show you, but that's okay. Da, da, da. Okay, So then you'll have this cute little lucky. I'm gonna go grab my stand. Okay, my daughter's using my stand for decorations in her room. So if this is your first box, I sent you with a stand. So this is what this looks like. You can leave it natural or you can paint it one of the colors that was in your kit. I painted my other one black, and then once you paint it and it's dry, it just slides together like so. So all you're gonna do is take your insert and pop it into the middle. I can't tell if that is straight or not. And then it will go on your stand and then you're done. And so obviously this hole makes it easy to pop your inserts out. And I'm so excited to be able to do the interchangeables. I've got some really fun ideas. And so my ideas are going to be, if you buy a kit, then the inserts will be just like an add-on. If you want to buy the insert separate, that's fine, but the cost will be higher because I still have to pay for packaging and paint tins and everything like that, which ends up adding up. So if you do buy a box, it will be cheaper that way, just because I can throw it in with the other stuff. But anyways, I am so excited to see everyone's variations and I can't wait. So I hope that you post when you're done.